Alright, day 5. So we're now going to talk about how to market your funnel and course. Now, quite clearly, there are a plethora of books out there that you can read and digest at your leisure, but what we can do on the bootcamp here is hit the ground running and look at the key things that we want to do in order to make sure that you get the right people to be attracted to your funnel or your course or whatever it is you're doing, how to get hold of them, how to get in front of them, and how to convert them. So this is going to be the short, sharp, get it done approach. Your weekend task will be to digest this and go away and come up with a marketing plan of sorts to enable you to promote your course, your funnel, and get the right audience in front of it. So, okay. First things first, this is key. You'll see this on every marketing course that talks about promoting what you're doing or should do, because the most important message is that you do not sell to everyone. If you had on the example I use on the screen here, if you had 1,000 people in the room, random 1,000 people, which you might do if you just fire out a Facebook ad or whatever, chances of 1,000 people converting is nil. A percentage will convert, the ones you're lucky enough to hit the nail on the head with, but as a rule, 1,000 random people, you're going to get a very low conversion rate because most people won't be interested. If they're kind of interested, they're in the wrong point in their buying journey with you. They may not understand what you're doing. And the small handful that get the message, they get the product, they get the service, they get the value, they get the price point, they'll convert, but it won't be many. Now, if you could hand pick 1,000 people, all of whom you know are going to be interested in your product, they share the same problem, they can understand the solution that you're providing and the product or service that you're providing, and there's a key price point. If you had 1,000 people that met that criteria, obviously the conversion rate is going to be much, much higher. So that's what you must do. It's often called the perfect customer or the customer avatar. You will hear other people talk about this, and no apologies for me repeating it again. You need to define your audience. You do not sell to anybody. If I say to you, who would buy your product, and you say, hey, well, anybody in the world, flip it over. What you've got to say is, I'm going to sell to 25 to 40-year-old women who have got 2 kids, who go on holiday twice a year, who have an income of X, who own a luxury car, who are interested in technology but not too much, who are interested in design but not too much, have and so on and so forth. You need to define that audience, and that marketing channel, as we call it, will be sent out to that segment of the population. The 2 terms there, channel and segment. It may be that you say, yeah, but Simon, I could also go after men. Well, that's fine. You can just duplicate all of those and replace them with men and their criteria. Perhaps they like gadgets, stereotyping men, that sort of thing. Maybe they don't. Maybe they like sport. Maybe they don't like sport. Maybe they like football but not rugby. Forget me stereotyping everybody. You need to specify and niche your audience, because then the important thing is the message and your positioning, your promise, are going to be specific to that audience. And you may well and probably will have multiple marketing channels. One for the people who are women, one for the people who are men, to go really aggregate it up, and so on. Because the message you give to men and the message you give to women of a certain age, with a certain interest, with a certain attitude, with a certain, are they green, are they non-green, are they vegans, are they non-vegans, and so on and so forth, will be specific to them. So you talk in their language. You'll use different language to meat-eating women as you will to meat-eating men. If you're doing a vegan course, it will be different. People have different priorities. If they're parents, they'll have different priorities. If they're not parents, they'll have different priorities. If they're social, if they're not social, if they live on Facebook, if they live on LinkedIn, if they live in the real world, and so on. Different channels for different people, so that you can be bang on in terms of your marketing, in terms of your message, your positioning, what your promises, what their problem is, what their barriers are, what your solutions are, and so on. And we talk about sales value ladders. Exactly the same thing. You'll have one for each channel. You won't have loads. Don't panic. You may have one. Awesome. But you may have 2 or 3. In which case you'd have different adverts, different landing pages, different sales value ladders as you convert them up to the higher offers. So you may have 2 or 3. No problem with that, because then you can niche down and talk their language, talk about their specific problems. Hopefully I've stressed the point enough. So I've given you some example questions here. These are not definitive questions, these are example questions. What common problem are they facing? Where do they hang out? What would they want you to provide in terms of a solution? What are the key benefits to them as of your solution? What language are they? Is it street language? Is it educational language? Is it scientific language? Is it whatever it might be? How can you talk to them? What are their main barriers? Address the barriers, and I'll come on to that in a second. Can you use different pricing structures depending on who they are and what you ultimately want to sell? And so on. Okay, so that's all about it. And yes, I do, and I plug it on here. No apologies. The Traffic for Sales book. If you're on the bootcamp and you haven't joined the T4s Academy, which gets you that proper printed book and the workbook for this bootcamp and everything else like that, click on Get the Pack and get yourself a copy of that book as soon as you can. Okay, so by then you know who it is. You can now talk to them. If I put you in a room of 1,000 people of that type, bang, opportunity strikes. So you make your offer. You know where they hang out, and you've got to engage. It could be speaking in person at networking events, it could be sending emails, it could be posting in groups, it could be Facebook ads, it could be LinkedIn ads, it could be Google search ads, and so on. It depends on your audience. So many times people say, right, I'm going to do Facebook ads. And you go, okay, well, is your audience on Facebook? Oh, I'm sure they are. Well, take a step back. Are they on Facebook? Or do they hang out in certain Facebook groups? Is it better just to get into those groups and grow your authority and drip feed your links in via that way? Do they hang out on LinkedIn? Do they just use email? Do they just get home, and watch soap operas and sit on their tablet and just surf the web? What is it your audience is doing so you can make the offer in the right place? And then you can create your landing page. So T4s is so easy and so quick to make landing pages. Make sure you're making the right landing page. If you're thinking, why doesn't my landing page convert? Well, do you know who's coming? We talked about Google Analytics and embedding it, and we will do on the course, embedding it into your, on the bootcamp, embedding Google Analytics into your funnel. You'll see the demographics of people coming. Now, are they coming and not converting because you're telling the wrong people? Or are you telling the right people? Or do you need to put a blanket out there, get traffic to your funnel, and see the sorts of people that are being attracted so that you can change your message to the right people? Yeah, so you can do research by throwing blanket traffic to your funnel and seeing what sticks and helping you define your audience that way. So it can be up front and it can also be retrospective in terms of what traffic's coming. So, landing page. Your landing page, remember, depending on what you're doing, is that initial sale, it's that initial hook, it's that initial lead magnet, it's that opportunity to start building trust. Their journey is A to Z, you're going to get them from A to B or C or whatever, that first page. Because if they take that offer and they see what you're providing is so awesome, they're going to trust you. They're going to love you. They're going to want to know what's best, what you're recommending, what's new, what is it you're going to offer next. And it can be immediate if you're going through an online funnel, or it may be they give an opportunity to redigest, get your lead magnet, and then come back into the funnel and carry on. Yeah. So this is what your sales funnel is doing. It's working with your audience. It's not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, although that is a tactic to work out what sort of traffic does stick, which I totally accept, but also that once you know the traffic that you're getting, you can then position your landing page. What do they want? What's their initial problem? What barrier are they facing today that you can solve today with a free offer, just to the email address, and I'll email it to you, or download it as a PDF or whatever it might be. What's that one little problem that you can solve for them today? Because if you solve that, then tomorrow they'll come back and say, great, thank you, Simon, what can you do next for me? And then you solve from B to G. They're going, awesome, I'm now gone from 3 days ago I was at A, now I'm at G. What can you do for me next? Because you consistently deliver, over deliver, take them on their journey, so by the time you get to the big sale, whatever that might be in the alphabet, P or Q or R, whatever, that's your big sale. By then they've completely associated progress with you. They know that you're talking their language. You know that you've solved barriers consistently all the way through. You've offered value, whatever price you're offering it at, you've offered value and more so, and they've gone from A to P or Q, whatever it might be, and that's when you hit them with the big sales value ladder. That's the offer that you make. That's the offer. That's the key thing. If you went straight in with that, chances are they'll go, I don't know you, I don't trust you, I don't even know if I like you. If you've got them from A to C, C to G, G to J, J to... By that point, they love you. They want to know more. They want to know how they can get to Z. And by that point, they'll be far more willing to convert. So that's your landing page. Now, marketing schedule. It doesn't have to be onerous, but it's a very, very good idea to scribble down what it is you're going to be doing. The old cliche is, to fail to plan is to plan to fail. I'm not talking about launching Microsoft Project Manager and producing a 25-page Gantt chart. No, what I'm saying is, these are my weekly targets. On Monday, I'm going to do one post to one group. And on Tuesday, I'm going to go back, check the answers, because that's a killer failure, is when people post something in a group, they get responses, never go back. You must respond to grow that authority. Wednesday, you'll do post in group number 2. Send out an email. Thursday, you'll do this. Friday, you'll do this. This is the marketing schedule. People will work with you to create a marketing schedule for a year. It's one of these, it gets more woolly towards the end. But you're constantly moving along your marketing plan and redefining. So it's sharp and to the point this week, next week a bit fluffier and so on, but each week you move forward and once a week you redefine next week's activities with your marketing schedule. So do it. Just do one thing every day. Don't make it onerous. Don't go crazy. Don't start doing email sequences and social media and God knows what else. Just one thing every day. One thing. Make it a habit. If you have a morning cup of tea, do your Facebook group post. Or if you prefer to do it before you go to bed, or if you're in bed, or over lunch, or 10 o'clock, or whatever it is you want to do. Make yourself a habit and a routine. So when you put the kettle on, while it's boiling, you make your post. By all means, plan it out. It won't take long for you to create, let's say, 20 topics to post. Okay, it's a cup of coffee job or a glass of wine job. But you get 20 topics, that's a month worth of working day posts. If weekend, remember your audience, do they hang out at the weekend or do they hang out during the week? If they hang out at the weekend, do 28. That's 4 weeks, one a day. These are not long tomes. You're not writing an essay every day. This is a paragraph or two in the right place, asking the right questions to the right people, just to get that engagement and build your authority. And by doing that on a daily basis, you will gain authority. You will gain a presence. You will make friends. You will, at the top of your ladder where you are now, start pushing towards it, because people will start asking you, where do I go to find out more? And that's when you introduce your link. Do not, please do not send out friend requests, which actually, as an aside, that could be a target. I want to find 10 people and make contact with them. Do not fire out friend requests or connection requests on LinkedIn and say, hey, my name's Simon, I do this, click here for more info, because you will fail miserably. You need to contact these people and say, hey, I see you in the same space, I love what you do, tell me more. Get them to talk. You want them in the friend zone. This is not covert stuff, because you will benefit and they will benefit. But make friends first. I saw your post on X, could I ask you a question? As you talk with them, and this will just happen organically, they will at some point say, what do you do? And by that point, if you've warmed up your friendship, not covert, you've warmed up your friendship, you can drop them a link and they'll be happy to have a look at it. So include that in your marketing schedule. Reaching out to people. Reach out to one influencer every week and make friends with them. Don't try and sell to them. Just let that influencer know that you exist, and through conversation, express an interest in what they do, give them some sort of benefit, offer them a tip or a bit of advice or something. Just get them in, and lo and behold, those influencers will become friends, and friends will ask for a link. And then they'll want to know more. And then they, because they're influenced, will see the perceived benefit of working together, or taking your service or your product or whatever it might be. Okay, last thing, action orientated. Record every single question or barrier that people ask you. I wouldn't do that because it's too big. I wouldn't go with that because it's too expensive. I don't know who you are. I don't know whether you've got credentials. I don't know where you are. I don't know if we could get on. So on and so forth. How can you go back and make sure that on your landing pages you can get rid of those barriers if you forget what those barriers and questions are? Because all of those barriers and questions, you'll answer it the first time, scratch your head maybe, but you'll have an answer. And let's say it's, I want to know about your credibility. And you go, well, that's okay because I've got a whole bunch of testimonials, have a look at them. And you put them on your landing page. So the next person who comes along, barrier, gone. I don't know how we'll talk, let's say your consultancy. I don't know how we'll talk. It's a barrier. You don't want anybody having any questions. You answer, well, we can use Skype or Zoom or whatever it might be. Then on your landing page, under your perhaps a frequently asked questions section, how do we communicate? We use Zoom, Facebook Live, chat, whatever, telephone, whatever it might be. It's there, the barrier, gone. There's an old sales analogy of a corridor, and your sale is the door at the end, and all the doors down the corridor are open. Every open door is a barrier, a way out for people to say, I'm not sure because. And most people won't ask you the question. Most people can't find the answer, and so they leave. What you're doing here is shutting those doors all the way along the corridor. So by the time they get to the end, all of their questions and barriers have been answered. Because most people won't ask you. But by recording the ones that do ask, you can shut those doors. So the only door they got left is the one at the end, which is your sale, or your opt-in, or your conversion, or your download, or whatever it might be. So think about that corridor and think about those doors closing. Record those questions and get them onto some format in an appropriate place in your funnel. Probably a frequently asked questions section, but if not, intertwined in your story of your landing page. But do record them, because then you'll have an instant answer. Okay, lots to do without me saying too much. So the task, should you choose to accept it, and I hope you will, is to define your audience. Excuse me, your perfect customer, your customer avatar. Call it what you will. Who are you trying to sell to? Know everything about them. They become your best friend. Give them a name, Johnny or Joe or Josephine, or whatever you want to call them. Have a picture of them in mind. Some people stick a picture on their monitor, so you're always selling to that person in that funnel. If you've got 2 or 3, a couple of photos, that person, everything you know about them. So you'll know their barriers, you'll know their interests, you'll know their pain points, you'll know their problem, you'll know what they want to achieve today, and you can offer it to them. And only by knowing everything about them can you do that. If they travel a lot, drop in conversations about travel. Again, it gets people warming up to you and being more receptive. It's not a covert style, it's just speaking in the message and the tone of the recipient audience. Those 1,000 people, you want them all the same, so you can give one message to all of them, and you can only do that if you know your perfect customer. And by all means, share them. Use the Funnel Hackers Pro group. I'd love to see your customer avatars. You can send them to me privately, but the group's a great place to be, and that's your task. That's today. That's what it's all about.